Hi, my name is Nunziata, and I'm a New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film, and I'm also a proud FENIX Global Artist Ambassador. Today, I'm so excited to be speaking with FENIX's latest celebrity artist, Ashley Everhart. She's a comedian, a musician, an actor. She does it all. For more on Ashley, you can read more about her right below this video, but in the meantime, here is a sneak peek at the incredible talent of Ashley Everhart.
Hi, my name is Shaun Recce, here with my revolutionary new DVD, TikTok Dances for Chronically Depressed Adults Who No Longer Experience the Unabating Whimsy of Their Youth. That's right.
Voicemail from your mother telling you not to come out to your family until your grandmother dies.
Nathan, honey, I love you, but I just don't think now is the right time. I mean, your Nana is from a different generation, and on top of that, the dementia's just been getting worse.
So buy my DVD, TikTok Dances for Chronically Depressed Adults Who No Longer Experience the Unabating Whimsy of Their Youth. And save the Renegade for people who don't cry themselves to sleep at night.
Well, hello, Ashley. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Will?
I'm good. Ashley, it is so nice to meet you. The audience just got a little sneak peek of your amazing, amazing talent. And you are, pre-interview, I was like, jack of all trades, but I'm like, you're a Jill of all trades. And I'm trying to be funny, but I'm talking to someone who is a comedian, a musician, an actor, all of it. I want to know first, though, where you grew up and what was the first introduction to music, because I believe it's your playing of the saxophone that was your first lead into the arts.
Kind of. So I grew up in a small farm town in rural Virginia, in the Shenandoah Valley.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. I mean, I think my first lead into the arts was honestly singing in choir, probably in elementary school. I mean, I joined the band in middle school, so I was 11, and I wanted to play the saxophone because I wanted to have an activity I could do with my dad, because he was a big band guy when he was in school, so I wanted to find something we could do together. And then
That's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah, and we do play together a lot when I'm back in Virginia. We play.
Really? Like, I'm getting teary-eyed in the middle of the day. And I don't know, there's just something so beautiful about that. Sorry, keep going.
No, we loved it. When I go home and see him, we end up playing the best of Bert Bacharach. He'll play on the guitar or the piano, and I'll play.
Don't tell me you're doing some sort of round version of I'll Never Fall in Love Again.
I guarantee you I could find you a video of the two of us playing I'll Never Fall in Love Again. What's It All About, Alfie, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head.
Okay, you're getting me, as a director right now, I'm eavesdropping in on this mother-daughter father moment. And I can just see the both of you as a kid and now to adult. What a beautiful encouragement you got all throughout your life.
Yeah, I mean, no, my parents have always been fantastic. And then the comedy came when I was very young, I knew that I was interested in comedy, or at least in just making people laugh, which I think everyone says. But then it really started becoming a thing when in high school our school didn't have a ton of funding. We didn't have an auditorium or much of a theater program or anything like that. So comedy was free, and we were able to. As our theater program was essentially a kind of like a comedy program. We did one musical a year, but aside from that, we just did sketch and improv, and you didn't have to buy rights or costumes or set piece, and so it was something that our school could afford to do. And around the same time, I started getting really into Saturday Night Live, and my dad was showing me the Carol Burnett show and old Tonight shows and things like that. And I think that's when I started getting really into comedy, and that's when I made the shift that I'd always been thinking I was going to study choral education in college. I wanted to be a public school choir teacher. And then around the time that I started getting really into comedy and performing comedy at school, that's when I decided that I was going to pivot and go to theater school instead.
I love that. And since being in the city, have you been able to take classes at any of the, you know, comedy schools?
Yeah. When I was in high school, my sister was in college. She went to school up at Wagner, and so I would come up to the city, and we would go. She would always take me to a UCB show.
By the way, that's where I studied for 7 years.
Really?
UCB, forget it. You get
I
it.
was the biggest UCB fan. I had DVDs back home in Virginia of like old ASCATs, like old like Amy Poehler, Matt Besser.
Amy Poehler, graduate of Boston College. And you will love this actually. And I can't really tell this to a lot of people, not to make this interview about me, but I feel like we can chat for a beat. In my classes at UCB was, and then unknown, Abby Jacobson.
Really?
Of Broad City. Like,
Wow.
I still have her cell phone. So, I mean, I tried texting her congrats when it first premiered. No answer. Maybe blocking me, which is cool. No, I'm just kidding.
Cool.
Abby, like Zach Woods was my teacher, and he's now like all blown up. And so Lennon Parnham was my teacher, now all. So I get this kind of old school vibe from you, not only from your really, I can tell already, just even my minimal research of you, Ashley, is that you have such a profound interest in the craft of whatever you're doing, but also when you mentioned like Carol Burnett, like, of course you do, because you're going back to the greats, because these were great storytellers who weren't just waka waka. Everything was like formulaic, beat it out.
And I love Fozzie Bear, don't get me wrong. Fozzie Bear is, I said Carol Burnett, I said, Lily Tomlin. I should have also said Fozzie Bear.
I love that.
I have long said that there are only two true American art forms. I was just talking to my girlfriend about this like yesterday, and it's jazz and Muppets. And I believe in nothing more than I believe in jazz and Muppets.
So let's unpack this for a while.
Yeah.
We need to collaborate on, I mean, well, the Muppets did have their little like jazz troupe, right? They had like their band, right?
They had a rock band.
But it wasn't jazz.
I don't know that there was ever an intersection of jazz and Muppets. I mean, they obviously had the rock band with Animal and Janice on the bass and things like that.
So how do we do that? I mean, so I'm a big jazz fan. We're talking about Sarah Vaughan, Billie Holiday, but also Cy Coleman is like my all-time favorite. So beyond Bert Bacharach, like, do you have any other, and I don't even know, would you consider Bert of a jazz sensibility? Or
I would consider Bert of a jazz sensibility. If I were to pick a genre, I would say like, it's tough because my brain says Americana. That's not quite right, because when I think Americana,
why not?
Like,
I love that.
When I think Americana, I'm thinking like Eagles. I'm thinking,
you're young. When I think Americana, I think American Songbook, but like the 40s and 50s.
I would call Bert Bacharach American Songbook, right? I would, could I talk about the Songbook forever. I would call Bert Bacharach like American Songbook.
But you love American Songbook because this is what was playing in your house.
I love, yes. My dad, famously, one of my favorite stories is when I was in 5th grade, I remember talking to a friend of mine at school and saying something to the end of like, have you heard that new song, Boogie Wonderland?
I can't with you. We are still the same person. So like, well, my friends growing up were listening to Backstreet Boys in sync. I literally was singing Fly Me to the Moon alone on the swing set and being like, there's this guy out there called Frank Sinatra. And the kids were like, we know Justin Timberlake. And I was like, I gotta go. But, as a performer, because I performed beginning of my career with my twin brother, Anthony, we would really perform American Songbook songs. So it's a part of my bone marrow as well. But I digress. You have so much going for you. Let's just call a spade. And I love that you're such an unapologetic multi-hyphenate, that you happen to do it all, but it all kind of makes sense within the world of Ashley Everhart. And with all of this talent and so much I hate saying potential because you're already so successful, what's on Ashley's bucket list?
Like my career bucket list, or like
career, life, let's just go all, but let's start with career.
Let's start with my career bucket list. Here's my very specific dream.
Go.
I want to be a cast member on Saturday Night Live for 8 to 10 years, and then I want them to have me take over the sax position in the house band.
See, that is a journey that has never been done. So I can see that, but then like I'm gonna yes and you.
Yes.
Thank you, Improv 101. Is I could see you an 8 to 10 year cast member, and then not only playing the sax, but once in a while, like camera 3 does a close up on you. And like for those people that may not have seen you for those 8 to 10 years, like you then become just like when you want part of it or when the camera wants. And like you can just do like a little, I'm not saying like a Debbie Downer, like want, like what's her name does, Rachel Dratch. But like you have a beat, but it can happen at any time.
Just a nice little.
And see, you give subtlety and nuance while I give more of that mug that I'm working on. It's more of a laughing mug.
No one has ever told me that I give subtlety and nuance. That's a big compliment. But honestly, career-wise, I've often said that I just want like Fred Armisen's career, right? Where he was a drummer for a long time and he loves his music and that's really, really important to him. And then he went and did comedy, and I think it was so influenced by his music. And now he's, not only doing comedy projects, but he's the house drummer for Seth Meyers. And I think that's just the band geek's dream.
And I love that too, right? Because, you look at all of the great comedians, there were so many that were influenced by music. But as we know, and look at as a director now, I've realized that both, in my bone marrow, my music and my comedy background, it's all rhythm. It's all rhythm.
100%. Yeah.
I need to talk to you more about you. You are such a fascinating, very singular, focused about the craft and the art, but you have this spiritual side to, and I just met you. I'm feeling like a spiritual vibe where like you literally look at yourself as a vessel, where you're like, yep, I have all these talents. I'm gonna combine them all. It's just I'm gonna make some like beautiful recipe for the world. That's what I get from you.
I think so.
Am I off base?
I think sometimes I feel like a shipwrecked vessel. Like I think when I think of vessel, I think like a boat that's intact and like doing its job and sailing. And I think sometimes I just I feel like the Titanic.
And I'm like a vessel, like as a conduit.
Yeah, like they said the Titanic had potential too,
Okay, on that note, everyone check Ashley out. I mean, this is probably the last interview that she's gonna do before she does, before you see her on SNL or, the house band of SNL 10 years after her decade-long career at SNL. But
I will say on the record, I could never play sax as well as Lenny Pickett plays. He's the longtime sax player on SNL. He's out of this world. I'm obsessed. I'm a huge fan.
So there's room for growth.
And isn't that a beautiful way to end?
On that note, I'm so excited you're on board FENIX just because, I'm excited that not only the potential of you connecting with artists across the country and around the world, but, new fans. And I dig you. So you have one new fan right here.
I dig you right back.
Aw, well, you're very sweet. And thank you so much for our little chat. And I will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.
In the digital age, artists and bands struggle to make a living. In fact, only a small number of artists can live off their craft. For the 98% of artists that don't have the luxury of being signed to a label, it's tough. But artists deserve to live off their art. Wherever you are around the world, appreciation of music does not change. FENIX brings bands and their fans together, whilst allowing bands to properly monetize their passion. The FENIX app will directly connect bands and fans with no need for middlemen. We're utilizing the blockchain to give the power back to the artist once and for all. Join FENIX, join the change.